This is Reimagining Higher Education, your go-to podcast with remarkable education leaders sharing personal stories from their experience in and around the sector, including reflection and hope for progress in the sector. With your host, Professor Judyth Sachs, former PVC Learning and Teaching at the University of Sydney, Deputy Vice-Chancellor and Provost at Macquarie University, and Special Advisor in Higher Education at KPMG, and now Chief Academic Officer at Studiosity. Welcome.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce, as part of our series in Reimagining Higher Education, the President of Manchester University in Indiana, Dr. Stacy Young. Stacy, I understand that you're an alum of Manchester, both as an undergraduate, and your children are also graduates of Manchester.
Yes, my daughter just graduated from our MBA program, and my son is a sophomore.
So could you just talk to us a little bit about your journey to becoming a president of two institutions?
Well, I'll back up if you want to kind of hear my story, but I have an accounting degree, and then I got an MBA, a Master of Business Administration, and later got a PhD. And I was serving as a dean of a college of business and realized that perhaps my business background could help further the mission of a school. And so I went on to become a president, and then my alma mater, Manchester University's president position, opened up. And because of a lot of God moments, I ended up back at my alma mater, and it's very special to serve in this role.
So I've been listening carefully to the language you use, and you're using the language of service and service to the community, service to the institution, even service to your discipline. Could you just unpack that a little bit about where this comes from and how it gets played out in your practice as a leader and as a president?
Well, I didn't grow up during a time where we talked a lot about servant leadership, but I would like to think that that's how I do serve. Really, for me, serving at Manchester is about helping make sure that we continue to graduate many students from Manchester for many years to come. And again, my own family included, and I hope my grandchildren go there and their grandchildren go there. But it is about that. We are running a business at a university, but we have a lot of alum, a lot of stakeholders, right? We're in a really small town, and the university is a big part of that small town. Our main location is in a small town. So we are not just serving our students who come to Manchester, but also the community that we're in. We are a school that has service as part of our mission statement. So I would like to think we're all focused on that in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, service is a big part of our life at Manchester.
So what has driven you to become a leader? And when you reflect back on your own career, have there been people in your life that you've actually drawn upon their insights, their way of being, their way of leading?
Of course. Over the entire course of my life, there have been people all around me. Some had leadership titles and some did not, but I try to learn from lots of people. Sometimes it's the things I don't want to do, and other times it's the things that I would like to do just like them. But of course, many, probably too many to count. But I'll tell you, when I realized that I wanted to become a president, it's because I was observing the president that I worked for at the time, that he had these great initiatives that he was working on. But because I was at a dean level, I was seeing that all of the other departments and areas around campus had their own goals, and they were working hard, and they were wonderful goals. But what I realized is everybody was doing their own thing, and there was no way we were going to help him achieve what were really good goals for the university. So it started to make me realize that my business background could help really align what we were working on. And so when I became a president, one of the first things that we did is we created a new strategic plan that everybody had to buy into. And we had lots of stakeholders buy into it. And then we all of the departmental personal goals were all geared towards that strategic plan. And that's kind of what made me want to become a president, that I thought my business background could help. And today I still do that. Every memo I send out on campus, I really try to connect it to our strategic plan. I just moved offices, but before that, I had this whole strategic plan up on my wall, and I often would point to it. We had a whole wall of our conference room for cabinet, and we would constantly point to that and talk about how each initiative was tied to that strategic plan. So everybody is thinking about it all of the time, and then we move forward faster together.
So if I was a student and you were taking me for a tour around the college or the campus, what would you take me to, and what would I see?
If you were a student and you were walking on campus, well, I will say the strategic plan is at the front of every building, so you would see that. But if you were walking around campus, of course you would see all the normal things, but I hope that we would be talking about the new great things that we're doing at Manchester to help students graduate faster with less or no debt, because that's a big thing that I would like them to do. But yeah, that's what I would hope that you would hear and see.
So it's a university that has quite a history. It was established by the integration of two religious faiths. Was it the Methodists and the Brethren?
Yes, the Brothers. We're affiliated with the Church of the Brethren.
Right. And so, well, it's not term time now, but term starts in a couple of weeks. So what would I see the students doing? Because it's a small campus, but you know, what's student life like?
Well, we have about 50 to 60% of our students are involved in athletics. So we have a lot of athletic teams and events happening around athletics, but we have a very dynamic music program with students involved in our marching band and also ensembles. We have a lot of clubs on campus and students who get to create their own if they would like. Around things that they're interested in. So we have a big esports group. So over 100 students in esports, which is kind of computer games and things like that. But yeah, they would be actively involved. And we love when our students are involved in something beyond their academic pursuits because it helps them retain at a higher level.
So let's go back to your undergraduate experience and your an MBA is a different sort of beast, but your undergraduate experience, what was that like? And has the university changed since you were there?
I think that the very best parts are still there. So we are one of the best parts about Manchester is I could get actively involved on campus. I have a twin sister, and my twin also came to Manchester after she attended a public school for 1 year, a large public school. And she wanted to come to Manchester because she saw that I was getting involved in lots of things. So at a small campus, I got to teach aerobics. I was a radio disc jockey. I was a student leader and I led campus tours. I had a job in admissions, but I got to do all of these things as an accounting major, which is kind of unheard of. So I got to, and I think today students still have those same experiences. I was excited that we had a couple students who wanted to create their own band, and they're the band that we call upon to play at graduation, and they created it all themselves because it was something that they desired to do.
I did read that you were a twin. I'm a twin as well.
Oh,
I have
wonderful.
I have a twin brother.
Oh my goodness. Well, my twin sister's son is roommates with my son at Manchester, and they're both sophomores this year.
Oh, isn't that lovely? So
Yes.
in terms of current challenges facing universities all around the world, student debt is certainly one of them. Generative AI is another one. What are the other big challenges that you see facing? And it's not just your experience at Manchester, but being on panels, having conversations with your peers. What are the challenges facing higher education in the Midwest in particular, but America in general?
Sure. Well, for sure, this idea of is higher ed worth it? Is there a return on investment for higher ed? And those are the things that we're working on at Manchester. But for years, I think people have said it takes too long, it's expensive, and there's lots of reasons why students have to drop out over those 4 years, a typical college degree. But that's why at Manchester, when I got there, everyone said, "What's going to be your vision?" And I realized that I wanted all students to graduate with experience along with their Manchester University diploma. So we've set it up now that we've realigned our schedule so that students have more time in their schedule to work alongside their degree. So I want everyone to graduate with a diploma as well as this great work experience, a solid resume when they graduate. So we're working hard on that. And again, that they earn money. My goal is that every student earns about the gap that a typical student has so that they don't have to take out loans. We also have just today in Inside Higher Ed, I was excited to see they highlighted our new 90 credit, reduced credit bachelor's degree programs. A typical bachelor's degree is 120 credits. The Higher Learning Commission, our accrediting body, has approved those reduced credit, and we're the first school in Indiana to take on that challenge. We have 2 programs that have gotten approved, and we have 6 more that we're ready to go. So the idea is that students can shave off a year if needed. They'll still have the opportunity to do the full 4-year bachelor's degree, the full 120 credits. But my hope is that for some students who maybe this is the way that they need to do college can get in and get out and get done faster and shave off that year. And I think for certain programs, especially, I think of education or social work, some of those programs. This could be a real game changer, especially because of what they earn when they graduate. It's too expensive to have a lot of debt when you just, I'm so grateful that they take on these challenges, but they just don't earn as much money. And so if we can graduate them with a little less debt, that would be amazing, and get them done faster. We have high need for these programs.
So as you're speaking, and in Australian terms, your university is very small.
It is.
And so I imagine being an accountant, you would be over the numbers every day. So how do small institutions actually survive in what's a very competitive landscape? What's becoming an incredibly expensive landscape to run an organization?
Well, we're having to, and this is the tough part, having to explain to faculty that the way we used to do things, we can't do anymore. And, one way, while we love our small classes, we aren't going to run classes where we are running classes with less than 10 students. We want at least 10, and that's still very small when you consider how many students might be in a classroom. So we're making tough calls. We're really looking at majors. There are some majors for lots of reasons students are not going into anymore. And we're making some tough calls on that, which is really hard, especially for a liberal arts school who wants to have a lot of a little bit for our students, a little bit of a lot of things. And so but we're having to just rethink how we do business. And, lots of companies have to reinvent themselves. We don't all go shopping out in the stores anymore. We call Amazon. And I think that is the point we are in higher education. We are at this very pivotal moment that if we don't make changes, the changes are going to happen to us. And we see this with companies creating their own university system within their companies. And so if we don't start being more flexible and hearing what the companies say, we will lose in the end. So you mentioned AI earlier, and one of the things I told, of course, I think every student should know how to write, but companies they consider that a skill. Like when I graduated from college, knowing how to use those new things that we had on our desk computers. Companies want students to know how to use AI now when they graduate because they expect them to be able to use it so that they can be more effective and efficient at their jobs. So burying our head in the sand and saying we're not going to let students use it is the wrong thing to do. And so it's really important that our faculty are talking with companies that our students will go and get employed by so that they can understand what those needs are of those companies, because burying our heads in the sand on some of this is not going to work.
So what I'm hearing you say is, and I still have work in universities, but not in a leadership role anymore. We're having to redefine our business model And for many, that redefinition of a business model is not accepted. So being your accountancy training and your MBA, has that given you particular insights into how to managing this redesign, rethinking, and resetting how a university operates?
Yes, I think about change management a lot. And sometimes we just, we have, of course, those people who want to jump on board and help us with those new ideas. And then other people who are really thinking, I don't want to do this. And that's hard to have. And all companies have faced this when they are making a big change. But we're having to rethink things. A lot of our students in Indiana have the opportunity to earn early college credits while they're still in high school. At Manchester, we were not doing a great job accepting those credits, and we've changed that. And because, of course, there was the sense of, well, we can teach that class better than whomever can. But now parents and families are looking at those credits, and that's money saved for them. So they shop around to find the school that will take more credits. And so we're doing a much better. We accept all credits now, or many credits after they're evaluated. And we've even aligned with our state community college system. And so we have 69 programs aligned with them now. So students can come right from Ivy Tech, our state school, right into Manchester, and saving them literally thousands of dollars and time. And I think that's really important to this generation. That's honestly having a student that is of college age. It's been one of the toughest things to realize that what he wants out of his education is different than what I wanted. And it's
Mhm.
even the little things. When I was living in the residence halls, we all had our doors open, and that was the best part, getting to know people. And now you walk down a dorm or a residence hallway, and all the doors are closed. And I just think that they are doing college differently than we did. And sometimes it's kind of hard to realize that they want different things. But we have to recognize that because they are different than we were.
And that, I mean, inherently, we as humans are conservative, and we think, well, the way we did it, it was certainly
It's
better.
the best way. Yes.
We're successful. So that sort of being agile and appointing people who have an agile mindset is possibly fundamental to the next generation of academics and academic leaders, or not.
Absolutely. I think if we continue to do business the way we've been, we will get left behind. And you see it, and I hear it when I talk to other presidents. In fact, when we had our visit from the HLC for our 90 credit, reduced credit programs, one of the best compliments that we received is that we have a growth mindset. And if, in my mind, it had, that's the best compliment we could have gotten in this day and age. When sometimes we hear a lot from those people around campus that don't want to make changes, but there's far more that are ready to grab a hold the reins and make the changes with us. So I'm really excited about that.
So I can hear it from your voice, and I think I know what the answer will be, but I'm still going to ask the question. What's the best part of your job of being a president at the moment?
So I love when I can sit down with students. I love when I can talk to our alumni. I love when I can go to a staff meeting. Oftentimes I try to schedule meetings with all the different departments, just one-on-one, and I'll walk in and they'll say, well, what do you want to talk to us about? Nothing. I just wanted to hear what's going on. I love to hear about the cool classroom projects that they're doing. Often, if I'm really lucky, they'll invite me to the end of the semester projects where the students are presenting.
Mhm.
It's the best part. It reminds, if I could still be teaching, I taught until like my second or third year as president. And then I felt like I wasn't being fair to students, but I loved when I could connect with them in that way and really honestly understand what faculty were going through. When we would make a change to our learning management or software or something, when you have to do it yourself, it means something different, or they're, dealing with technology in the classroom. But I love to connect it at that level with students and faculty and staff. And again, our alumni, it's so wonderful. It helps me remember why I'm doing this.
So also what I'm hearing you say, but these are my words. I'm getting the sense that you, at your university, because of its size, because of its history, and the sorts of values that drive it, provide a very personalized experience for students. And that personalized student experience will have particular outcomes. Am I right in my first assumption? And then second, what then makes you different from another, liberal arts college near you?
Well, I would like to think that we are doing that. I give my personal cell phone out to every incoming student and parent, faculty, staff. Everybody has my cell number. Everybody. Because I want parents and students to be able to reach out anytime. And I've been through what they're going through. So I try to attend everything I can for students. In fact, I analyzed for my self-evaluation for the board. I think I am on average 3 nights a week out doing something, attending an event or going to event. I even work out with all of the athletic teams. I love that. But I think what makes Manchester special is that we're thinking and really forward thinking. And I'm so grateful. Of course, we're going to have those people who are, kind of dragging their feet, but we have a lot more that are excited about the future and really wanting to play a part in it and helping us with those big initiatives.
So when you're out and about, not perhaps when you're training with the athletics team, but what advice when you're talking to students would you give them? I mean, you go to lots of graduations.
Yeah, my motto for everybody is to lean in. College is what you make it. So if you want to sit in your dorm room and just study, that's your college life. But I encourage students to lean in. Just like I mentioned, I got to do a lot of great things at Manchester that a typical accounting major would not have done. Teaching aerobics or being a radio disc jockey on Sunday nights. Those are very unusual things and take advantage of those experiences. So I tell students lean into college, meet new friends, do things that you didn't think you'd ever want to do, try different things, and then kind of find out who you are at the end of all of that.
So I've got three more questions.
Okay.
The first question is, what advice would you give to the younger Stacy?
It's probably don't sweat the small stuff. All the things you hear. I worry a lot. My sister tells me that the things that I'm worried about here at this university is she wishes she would have kept a journal for my first presidency. She said all those same feelings and comments. She said, I've heard those all before, and it was the first time around. So yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. Will it matter tomorrow, right? So I would probably give that advice to myself.
And how good having a twin just to tell you, to put you right, put you on
Yeah,
the straight and narrow.
yeah. She's my best advisor ever.
Second question, if there was one thing you could do to support students or enhance the student experience, what would that be?
I wish I could have enough money to allow all students to come to Manchester at a very discounted rate, if not for free. We serve a lot of first generation college students, and I was that student for the most part. My mom graduated from college when I was in high school, but for all intents and purposes, I fit that definition. I wish I could do that for students because I know we're serving a population of people who really need us. So that's if I just had a little bit more money, that's what I would do is help pay for college for all these folks.
It's nearly the penultimate question. If you and I were having this conversation, say in 5 years' time, what do you think we'd be talking about? And what would the challenges be that you would be having to manage in your role as president in your uh, seventh year?
Yeah, I hope I'm past all the hards. I don't think it'll ever get easy, but I hope I'm past some of this hard stuff. Some of the legislative changes that have happened. Just some of the changes that have impacted our finances. I hope we're past some of those things. And I hope that the experiential learning, our transfer credit stuff, I believe in 5 years, the 90 credit bachelor's degree will be the new normal. So I hope that we're talking about how we were the first in Indiana to lead that initiative, and here we are now. Everybody's doing it. I just really believe we are at this just crossroads in higher ed, and those of us who want to jump into, some hard stuff that is scary, I think we're going to be the ones that are successful in the long run.
Look, this is a question that's has just come up in my mind. Your experience has been in private universities. You worked in a community college, which is a public institution. How different are they apart from their financial models?
More similar than different. Yeah, definitely more similar. In fact, the community college I was at was a little bit larger, but I would say far more similarities. We always struggled and worked hard for retention. We do the same thing at Manchester. We always work hard for enrollment. At the community college level, we do the same thing at Manchester. So lots of things that are the same, lots. And, faculty, all of the good and bad parts that help us be who we are at a university and at a college, all the same. So lots of personalities to manage and stakeholders for sure.
So did you ever imagine yourself as a president, or, how did you get to be a president?
It really is exactly what I said, that I realized one day that I had some skills that I thought, I think a lot of times, all of my degrees are around business. And so I realized that a college or university is really a business. We all have to pay people and we all have to turn the lights on, and the product that we're serving our students, and that's part of it, really helping figure out what students desire in this day and age. And it's different than what I had, which is hard.
Well, this is my final question, and it's quirky. What are you reading at the moment?
Well, I've been reading Let Them by Mel Robbins. I've been reading that. I always have a few books going at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
One of my struggles is that I can't sleep very well. I have a worry button that goes kind of all the time. And so often I need to read, I'll read a fiction of some kind to try to shut my brain off at night. So whatever fictional novel, I like historical fiction a lot, but I really try to have things that don't have anything to do with work, because I have so much trouble shutting my brain off.
And did you read anything over summer?
Oh, I read all the time. I read every morning. I read all the time. So, but I just talked to someone today who wants to become a president, and I was talking with her, and one of the best pieces of advice I would give people in this role, because it's very stressful and it's heavy at times. I run every day. I never miss, knock on wood. Hopefully no injuries, but that is the best thing I can do for myself. I think exercise is one of the best forms of help for mental health, and I prioritize that, and I have it done before I walk in the door every morning at the office. So that's my best piece of advice for people who want to be presidents or are presidents.
Stacy, this has been a really enjoyable conversation, and I think what you're doing is heroic, and as a president, you are, you're a role model in excellence, but also vitality and vision.
Thank you. It was great to meet you.
You have been listening to Studiosity's podcast, Reimagining Higher Education, candid conversations within higher education, sharing stories of leadership, change, and best practice in teaching and learning. Visit studiosity.com.